Whoopee. Okay. Whoopee. It's Saturday baseball. We're super busy this weekend. I just saw Unholy Toledo here, and now he's not here. Daniel's here, though. Nice to see you, Daniel. So nice to see you. Okay. Um, I hope Unholy Toledo comes back because it was just so nice to see him. So what do we got, Daniel? What do we got here? We have Zach Plesac. You have you're showing me your team, or you're showing me the available players. It has to be your team because you have Castellanos, Keaston Hura, JD Martinez, Brandon Lau. Good. That's through 8 rounds. Austin Meadows. Plenty of surprises. I know. Drafts are so fun for that reason, right? There's so much going on this weekend. Of course, I did the labor draft on Thursday, and then yesterday we did a panel at Baseball HQ First Pitch Forum, which we normally go to in person. It used to be in Arizona. Last year they moved it to Florida, and we were there drafting right before all of the COVID nonsense happened. And so this weekend is just a huge weekend for drafts. Tonight, Lenny will draft NL only, and we'll be drafting like through the next week or so, just straight. And I love it. I think it's great. So, okay. You're showing me, yes, show me some available players, or these are the available players. I don't know who you have then. I really feel like all of these players would fall to right about this spot. So, it would make sense that these are the available players. All right. Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about some position battles. We're going to talk about a little news. We're going to discuss. So let me discuss this first of all. For fantasy tools, like there's probably nothing that even is on the same level as Fantasy Pros for tools, like to get ready for your draft and to analyze your drafts, to analyze your leagues, to literally you pull your teams into Fantasy Pros, all your teams from whatever website. I mean, the only thing it's missing is the ability to actually like make moves from the website Fantasy Pros, and that would be like the ultimate, because one of the biggest problems is the fact that all your leagues are usually on all different kinds of websites. You have ESPN, Fantrax, we use RT Sports, we use On Roto, we use NFBC website, and all the software. Yahoo's different, CBS is different, like all these places. And so it's not really even the work like putting your teams together each week. It's like going to all these different websites or all these different apps, and it's such a pain in the ass. So at Fantasy Pros, I've been submitting my rankings there for about 5 years now. And when you do submit your rankings as an expert, they give you full access to the website. And I can't even tell you, like, I don't know how much it costs, but I would probably pay for it, because before the season started, I thought they were only going to let me bring in one league. Okay. And I think there's different levels of membership. So there is a level of membership that only lets you bring one league in. So you can only like really work with one league. But for me, as soon as baseball started, I was able to pull in all the leagues. I've pulled in 3 leagues. I'm in a draft right now at NFBC doing a cut line championship league. So I really love these cut line at NFBC. There's 42 rounds. It's 10-team leagues, and you play against the people in your league, but you also play against all the people that are playing in any league for that particular type of game. And so there are prizes for the entire league. There's no moving around players on your roster. Okay, I was going to try to work with this one out and one in, but it's just not holding up right. One side is hanging and the other side is okay. Now it's good. So this is what we're doing. We're drafting today, this NFBC league. And the interesting thing is that it's a points league, okay? And if you're not careful, you need to make sure that you know all the rules in your league, because they change, number one. Number two, every year there are like new things, ways to change the rules. this NFBC cut line, the rules, the points are 4 points for a hit, 2 points for a run, 2 points for an RBI, 6 points for a home run, which is actually 13 points. And I know this for sure because it was in one of the forums there, and it said, is a home run actually worth 13 points instead of just 6? Because 6 is a lot anyway. It's like a freaking touchdown. I mean, so let's say you hit a home run, you get the credit for 6 points for the home run. You get the credit 2 points for an RBI because you drive yourself in. You get 2 points for a run scored. And get this one. Wait, there's one other thing you get too. A hit is 4 points. Okay. Yeah. So add that to the 10, you get 14 points, but then every at bat is -1 point. And I was like, I don't play in a lot of points leagues. The one points league that I play in is Tout Wars, and we change the rules every week. So I could guarantee, or every year we change the rules. Like 1 year it's 3 points per innings pitched. 1 year it's 1 point per innings pitched. And you think about that. Think about the difference in the number of points when you're getting 3 per inning or 1 per inning. You're either getting 1 per out or 1 per inning. It makes a huge difference for your starting pitchers. I mean, if your guy goes 200 innings and you only get 200 points when normally you would be getting 600 points, that's a huge difference. So starters are not as valuable in that case. Okay, in this situation at NFBC, I've never seen any I've never seen any setup or situation or settings ever that subtract a point for an at bat. It's interesting. I don't have a problem with it, but believe me, when I read it, I had to do a double take, and then I had to think to myself, like, should I even ask anybody? I should know this. I should know how points leagues work. Okay, I should know that. But I'm thinking to myself, maybe I don't know how points leagues work. Maybe like this whole time in points leagues, they've been subtracting a point for an at bat, and I don't even know it. I mean, what are you going to do about it? You're not going to change your strategy based on that. But it's interesting, right? And just a hit, if you get a hit in this league, it's worth 4 points. That's like, that gives value to players that are, I mean, it does change the worthy, like if a guy gets a ton of hits, I'll say a guy like maybe somebody with a high contact rate, anybody with a huge contact rate, okay? This is the type of guy that's going to get a hit. And 4 points for a hit is quite a good chunk. You get 5 for a stolen base, 6 for a home run. And I told you the other ones. And then for pitching, you get 6 points for a win, but you get 8 points for a save. You do get 3 points per inning. So you could just think of it like a point an out. Every time your pitcher is out on the mound for an out, you get a point for that. Okay. So the way, this 42 rounds, you do not get to make any moves, you do not get to make any trades, and you do not have to even set your lineup because they automatically take the best combination of all your players and they give you that many points for the week. For me, I love drafting. It's my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite thing to do. Keeping up with my teams, not so much. Just not so much. So I'm trying right now. I'm really trying hard to just pull up this draft just because I think I'm coming up and I don't want to take long. It's Saturday and I think people want to, well, at least I do. I do not want to be waiting around to the max time for you to take your pick. So I will try not to do that to other people. It's 4 picks till my turn. This league is very important for getting depth because, like I said, you don't get to make any. What you draft is what you get. That's it. There's no picking up players. There's no trading. So you're stuck with what you have. And right now, I'm just loving Freddie Freeman this year. I've never even had Freddie Freeman on my team. Not any team. I just feel like he's really good. His numbers are so good that he doesn't need to steal. He just does not need to steal bases for him to be this good. His batting average will make up for 2 other bad batting averages. That's how I look at it. His on base percentage, like those stats, they will make up for any kind of crap that you have to get at the late part of the draft, right? I love Cavan Biggio. I have him on both both my teams so far, like my main teams, both of them. I love the lineup that he's in. I love the position eligibility. I think it matters more in this league because of the fact that you can't make moves. So I believe he qualifies, but it's not showing that on my. I thought he qualified at third base. I got to look this up real quick. I think that he's great for position eligibility, but in NFBC it's not showing me that, so maybe I'm wrong on him. Let me check. Yeah, okay. 10 games at third base last year, 37 games at second base, and 18 games in the outfield. So here's a guy that can fill in middle, corner, outfield. That's huge. I definitely think that he's in maybe perhaps the best batting lineup in baseball. It could be, maybe not, because you have lots of good teams, man. But it's going to be a good team. Definitely going to be a good team. I have no doubt that the Toronto Blue Jays, if they get their stuff together with pitching, they could compete easily with the Yankees. And I don't even know if they need to really bother with their pitching. Look at the Yankees pitching. I mean, I am a Yankee hater, okay? So just to make that clear, I'm a little biased. But we're looking at 20 homers and 20 stolen bases from Cavan Biggio. Oh, yeah, okay. I hear Lenny talking, but I don't know. You're just distracting me, Leonard, if you're trying to talk to me. Maybe he's talking on the phone. I love Cavan Biggio, okay? So that's who I have too. Freddie Freeman, Cavan Biggio. I have Dansby Swanson. An interesting pick, Dansby Swanson. You're going to find people that really like him, and you're going to find people that are just not that impressed with him because if you just decided to go ahead and type into whatever website you use, I use RotoWire, Dansby Swanson on RotoWire. The first problem is that he only qualifies at shortstop, and shortstop is like the deepest. There's leftover shortstops just hanging around at the end of the draft. So I try not to rush on those. Okay. Dansby Swanson hit 10 home runs last year, on pace for 30. Okay. On pace for 95 RBIs, on pace for 15 stolen bases. I don't know for sure, but maybe. The year before, he stole 10 bases in 2019, so he does have a little speed, and he definitely has power. The thing about Dansby that I've heard, mostly coming from our friend Derek Hardy, who does the bat projections, and he said that the bat just absolutely loves Dansby Swanson, especially the Bat X, which is now the new bat. Okay, it's new and improved using StatCast numbers. So he added like some more, information into his formula, and StatCast loves Dansby Swanson. I don't know where he'll hit I do not know where he'll hit in the batting order, but probably near the top, maybe even leadoff. Against right-handed batters, he batted leadoff last year 11 times and batted second 17 times. So he's near the top of the order. I hope he's in like the second. Maybe number 2 would be better because he would then get RBIs. But okay, we're talking about a 70% contact rate. It's not that high, but I think this secret is coming in his barrels and stuff. It's coming in his exit velocity and his hit distance. I really think it's like in the top percentage. It's in the top couple. Anyway, Dansby Swanson is on my team. I probably won't have him in any other league. This is 10 teams, by the way. So I got Josh Donaldson. Rhys Hoskins is another one that I've been now 2 in a row. I have Freddie Freeman, Biggio, and Rhys Hoskins. All 3 of those guys are on 2 of my teams. Plus, I have Will Myers on both teams. I have Castillo, Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen, and I don't have Strasburg on 2, but I have him on 1. I have Luis Castillo, Gallen, Bieber, Strasburg, Brad Hand. I don't know what I was thinking then, but I did, and Jose Urquidy. So it's going to be my turn in a minute. And on the top, I feel like there's a lot of pitching. There's a lot of mediocre pitching. The mediocre pitching goes so deep that at this point I have 7 pitchers. I have 1 closer, and the rest of them are starting pitchers. I think I'm gonna hold off on the pitching at this moment, and I'm going to focus on. I have a couple more spots in my offense to fill up. Plus, like I said, you need a lot of depth in this league at the position. So you have to make sure you have at least like one or two sitting on the, sitting and waiting in case somebody gets injured, right? I need a catcher, I need a middle, and I need an outfielder. So, but the one beautiful thing is that I have Biggio, and he will rotate around if I find a player that I really like. You don't need stolen bases. Otherwise, I would be drafting Victor Robles right now. I don't know why he's going so late. I mean, I kind of do, especially in a league like this. The real money is in the home runs. The power guys are the money. But Victor Robles is capable of stealing quite a few bases, and he seems to be going rather late in drafts. So Devin Williams is sitting right there, and I say I'm going to ask the chat room. Hi, George. Nice to see you. Okay, go. I wish that I could find Unholy Toledo because he was here and now he's gone. So oh, there he is. Hey, there you are. I see you. Thanks for coming back. Okay. George and Unholy Toledo, we're talking drafts. George only likes to talk about NL drafts, or only leagues. He'll talk AL only too, but mostly NL. All right. Lenny's going to draft tonight, NL only. And so we spent all the week putting together a spreadsheet, because I'm going to be hosting this draft with a couple other people, Adam Ronis, Ray Flowers, and who else? Kyle, maybe. No, I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's going to be fun. But I have all my NL players in a spreadsheet with their auction values. And so I've been doing a lot of research on NL only. But I forgot what I was going to talk about. I forgot what I was talking about. The only league tonight, Lenny's draft. He's talking about getting, Nick Senzel, and I said, please do not do this to yourself. Nick Senzel and Dylan Carlson, I am not a fan of in an only league. No way am I going to do that because of the fact that he has zero experience at the major league level. And he does have experience, but he wasn't very good. And so what you're getting from him is not extravagant, even if he is what we expect him to be. Eventually, he's not that yet, in my opinion. Neither is Nick Senzel, and Nick Senzel is just a nightmare for me to think that he would be on Lenny's team. So it's funny because Matt, our boss, is giving us he's making some of these labor teams tonight with a co-host. He's adding us on as co-hosts, right? So that we can view the draft room. I think I'll tell him to put me as the co-host of Lenny's team so that I could make changes as needed and I could bid for him, or I don't know, I could disconnect the internet or something when he's trying to draft Nick Senzel. Okay. Anyway, we only talked about it for a little bit, but he also likes Jack Flaherty, not a fan. He likes Zach Gallen, I am a fan. Okay. So this is what we have. Jared Walsh. I like Jared Walsh, but he, is a good example of somebody that's just exactly like Dylan Carlson. Zero experience. Devin Williams. If you weren't here for the way that these points work out, I'm in a draft right now called Cutline at NFBC, and the point system is really pretty crazy. 2 points for a run, 2 points for RBI, 4 points for a hit, 6 points for a home run, 5 points for a stolen base, and 4 points for a hit. So the power really gets a lot of extra love here. And -1 for every time your player goes up for an at-bat. That's crazy, but that's what it is. So Devin Williams is so intriguing because I love the strikeout. Obviously, he's going to strike out so many. It's almost like the same situation we were dealing with Hader before he became the closer. It was like everybody, you want to draft Hader. You want him on your team because he strikes out crazy, and Devin Williams is basically a junior Hader. Junior Josh Hader. He strikes out a ton of batters. Is he going to get saves? They're 8 points in this league. Saves are 8 and wins are 5 or 6. Wins are 6. Saves are 8 points. You do get 3 points per inning. So I just say I really am tempted to roster him, but I don't know if he's going to pan out that good. Maybe it would be better that I put Rosenthal on my team because he's going to get all the saves in Oakland. There's not that many pitchers that you can pretty much assure yourself that, that they have the job without competition. And in a league that counts saves and like a 5x5 roto league, I think that it's less important that you have a lot of strikeouts. It's less important that you have a great ERA and WHIP. It's most important that you get saves from this guy, because he's the only, you only have a couple that are going to contribute to that category. And I don't think you need to be at the top in saves, but if you have a guy like Matt Barnes, who's going to crush, the WHIP and the ERA are going to absolutely suck. But the Ks are there, the strikeouts or the saves are there, and the strikeouts are there. So the amount of innings that Barnes is going to pitch in the overall realm of things, it's not really going to make a big difference in your ERA or WHIP. Say that to me when I lose the league by like 0.01 ERA or something like that. That could happen, but I just don't think it's going to matter that much. And so Devin Williams is on my labor team, and maybe I should just be happy with that. Although, you're going to have to say to yourself, what are the most realistic spots where a guy is going to most logically take over? And in Milwaukee with Hader and Williams, you run into a situation like Hader he was absolutely perfect as the setup guy. He was a perfect effector, if you know what effector is, but he was that. They needed him because they had nobody else to be the closer. So they put Josh Hader in there. But I do believe that they will try to either trade him. I do think they're going to try to trade him, so they're going to probably want to showcase him. I don't know. There's a decent chance that Devin Williams gets saves too, but I don't think I should take the chance. Okay, ERA and WHIP don't even matter in this league. What matters is if you strike batters out. Oh, if you get earned runs, that's -2. If you strike out a batter, that's +1. If you walk a batter, that's -1. No penalty for a hit allowed. That's good. But, earned run -2. So, if Devin Williams can come in and pitch a couple innings at a time, that would really rack up points as far as the innings, because you get, if he could go 2 innings, he could get 6 points just for 2 innings. That would add to that's almost as much as a save. Anyway, we don't really know what's going on with the pitching. I love Devin Williams stuff, but I can't put him. So I'm going to leave this alone for now because I'm not up. And let's get back to work here. We are going to talk about some position battles. We're going to talk about 30 questions 30 questions, one per team. This is something that I put together a while back that I didn't have time to talk about because I got busy talking about with our friend Fan Addict. Okay, about his late round picks. There's actually a draft today at the first pitch. It's all online this year. There's things going on basically straight through. I said at the beginning, Lenny and I love to go there. We would be there now, but it's not happening. So anyway, they're having a draft. The first time I've seen it is it's a draft where you only draft players after pick 300 on the ADP. That's a pretty good idea. Everybody's always talking about like this player, all these players in the top 250. But there is something to be said about these late round players. And I cannot stress more that these late round players, no matter what league you're in, you have to look at it. It has to be fluid. It has to change based on what you need, okay, to fill your category targets. That's really all there is to it. Ariel Cohen called me after the labor draft to talk, and we were discussing Babs. I'm a big fan of Babs. I know I talk about it all the time, but it's a different way to draft a player. Everybody's always trying to do the same thing. You're all trying to draft, okay, a well-rounded team where you can compete in all the categories and, finish near the top. That's what we're all trying to do. But he was, he has ATC projections. They're at Fangraphs. You could find them there. And you can make auction values there by putting in the information for your league. Hold on. Okay, so because I knew that I was drafting against him, Ariel Cohen, I went and I figured out the auction values for his projections. He's using his own projections. So I just figure like the more information you have about other people, the better. That's why you do lots of spying. And it's easy to do with people in this league because they're all over the place. Okay, Ariel Cohen he kept saying, like, how do you know how much money to spend? How do you know how much to spend on a player if you're using Babs? Babs does not use auction values. But it does use market value, right? So the market value what it should be anyways, which is like, what is the market willing to spend on these players? That's really the only reason that you want the auction values. It should not ever be used to tell you how much money a player is worth. It's not about what they're worth. It's about what are people willing to spend. You decide what they're worth. Like, as long as the auction values add up to 3120 in a 12-team league, you can use any values you want. Because the most important thing you could do with auction values is control the draft. And by that, if you've ever listened to Lenny's Control the Draft podcast, he does it every year. It's always the same, but he updates it, with little things. So what it is just you have to pay attention to how much money is being spent early, right off the bat. If your auction value says, it doesn't matter if it says $50 for Garrett Cole or $20 for Garrett Cole, because the total amount of money that's going to be spent is $3,120, and there's a certain number of players that are going to be drafted for that much money. Okay, it's usually 23 players for every team. Okay, so you're going to have that many players, you're going to have that much money spent. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have Garrett Cole for, let's say you have him for $10. If somebody spends $50 on Garrett Cole, then you say, oh my gosh, they've overspent by $40 already. And then after about 12 or 15 players, you have a good idea about how much money is, if the money is in the negative, or if the money is, if like people are saving their money or spending. And if they're spending like crazy, then you say to yourself, okay, I know that if I just wait around a little while, I will be able to get better deals on players. But you got to watch out, because all the best players are not going to be there forever, and people are going to spend on the best players. Anyway, the market value is, Ron Chandler's way of drafting, and it's not really even new anymore. It's been around for several years. I've been using it ever since it first came out. I love it. It makes drafting easy for me, because what it is that you're trying to, everything is based on assets and liabilities. That's it. You have power, you have speed guy, you have average guy. That's a guy with a good hit tool. And then you have negative stuff, like he's going to crush you in your ERA, or he's going to not get any strikeouts. These negative liabilities, they get subtracted from the positive, assets. And you have to have, at the end of your draft, you just have to have a combination of players on your team with a certain number of each asset. Okay. You need 14 powers. You need, you have 14 hitters on your team. They don't all have to have power, but some guys have a lot of power, and there's 3 levels of power. So if you draft a guy that doesn't have any power, that's okay if you draft another guy that has the second tier of power. You know what I'm saying? So that is how it works. And there is no need for auction values. Although you have to know how much to spend on a player in a draft. And I just totally wing it. I mean, I pay attention. I pay attention using Control the Draft. So the other night in labor, the draft people were spending like crazy. They always do in this league. They always do. Like Jake Seeley, Paul Sporer is another one. Paul Sporer is in Tout Wars, but you get to know the draft habits. And these two guys are so like way out there in their draft strategies, but it's not a secret what they're doing. Jake Seeley goes stars and scrubs every time. Paul Sporer always spends all his money on his hitting and very rarely spends any money on his pitching, because he's very smart when it comes to pitching. So he uses that to his benefit, and he knows that he will be able to get a good he will be able to make his pitching work by spending the least amount of money. I can't remember. That's Larry Labadini, I think. I don't know. Whatever it is, it stars in Scrubs, okay. Or it's don't spend more than 60 on pitching total, 9 pitchers, $60. Whatever. I think that Paul Sporer probably spends less than that on pitching. I'm always in the middle of the road. I do not like scrubs on my team. I do not like to overspend ever. Not in life, not ever. I will always try to find the best deal. Okay. And that's just my habits. You get to know these people and how they draft. And every year these drafts go the same way. The money gets just thrown out there like crazy people at the beginning. And that's that. All right, let's talk about Saturday baseball. Here we go. Alex Reyes was impressive, okay, in his outing, and Carlos Martinez was not impressive in his outing. So it's not looking good for me and my Carlos Martinez argument, okay? And seriously, it makes me feel good to see Reyes doing well. It really does. It makes me feel happy for him. He has battled injuries. This guy has like 40 innings in his career, and he's been he got called up in like 2017 or something. He's been dealing with a lot. He's never been able to pan out. And I seriously, highly doubt that he will be a good starter or useful as a starting pitcher. I do not think that he will get late into games at all. I think that you have a much better chance with Carlos Martinez pitching deep into games than him. But I did get some feedback last Sunday on our Sirius show. I got feedback from Traveler, who said, he's thrown so much money at Alex Reyes over the years waiting, and he's not given up yet. So I say, okay, well, and then, I thought it was very rude that this writer in St. Louis decided that if it was a choice for the fans, if the fans were the ones making a decision on who pitches in the rotation, it would definitely hands down be Alex Reyes. And I'm like, oh no, that's not true. How could that be true? I don't know. I just think that's wrong to say that. But we got a call. I said, Cardinal fans call in, and somebody called in and said, us Cardinal fans really do have high hopes for this guy. We've been waiting around forever for him. So I can see that point. Regardless, dude, I'm not looking good on Carlos Martinez. But what's the worst that can happen, okay? What's the worst that can happen? He's going to get pushed into the bullpen. He's going to pitch. He's still going to get innings. He's still, even if he is a middleman, then he'll get saves and wins maybe. But he's going to get innings. I have no doubt about it that Carlos Martinez will get some kind of, he will get innings. And hopefully they'll be in the rotation, but not if he stinks. I'd rather him not. You know what I mean? I'd rather him not be there if he stinks. All right. Alex Reyes, more power to you, buddy. But Carlos Martinez is still listed as the number 5 starter at RotoWire. And Alex Reyes is not listed as the number 5, nor the number 6 or 7. He's listed as the number 9 starter. They have 9. Actually, they have 11 starting pitchers on their rotation depth chart. That's just absurd. They have a lot of pitching in St. Louis, but none of it is that great. Okay. So, yeah, Carlos Martinez not doing great. Okay, that's the first part of news. The second part of news is Justice Sheffield, 24-year-old in Seattle. There's 2 pitchers to watch in Seattle. Number 1, the Seattle Mariners ballpark is heaven for pitching. Okay, balls don't go out of there. It's easy to keep your numbers sane, but you don't know that by just looking at the stats, because Seattle has not been good at all. Their pitching has been horrible. Kikuchi is one that was signed several years ago. Remember, everybody was all excited about him and wanted to draft him on their team, just like Ohtani. Everybody's so excited when somebody new comes around. But, okay, Justice Sheffield and Kikuchi are both worth watching. Okay, Sheffield, he came over in a trade from the Yankees, I believe. I think that he came over in a trade Paxton. I'm not positive. But he's only 24 years old. He is the number 4 starter in Seattle. He pitched 2 scoreless innings on Thursday against the Rockies, 2 hits, no walks, and he struck 1 batter out. He has a 3.58 ERA across 10 starts. That was in 2019. No, maybe that was 2020. I think he did good last year. That sounds about right. He had in 2019, it says he had better control in this past season, so he showed growth in his command. His control is better. Anyway, 3.58 ERA is not bad. He's going to be the number 4 starter. That's okay. You're not going to get a ton of wins out of him, but you will definitely get, I mean, the choices that you have at that point in the draft are, he's well beyond that. You should be paying attention to him. Kikuchi is another one. I've read at numerous places, not just one opinion, but I've looked at his numbers too, because the numbers do kind of back this up, that below the surface stats, which was 5.17 ERA last year, 130 whip, 47 strikeouts in 47 innings, it just wasn't that good. But let's look a little bit deeper than that, okay, with him. His fastball is 95 miles an hour, so you got to love that. His FIP was 3.29. It was so much better than his regular ERA. And don't think, though, that I don't know for sure. Look, this is based on the fielding independent percentages after you take out the bad defense behind you, okay? That's what it does. And so just because his FIP is 3.29 does not mean that he's ever going to achieve that unless he has some sort of remnant of decent defense in the background. They have a lot of youngsters on this team. The guy, Kevin Mather, that got fired, or he had to resign and all this for telling the truth about what they do with minor league players, that guy, he was ranting about what's the outfielder there? The outfielder. I'm waiting for Lenny to yell it at me. The outfielder that's coming back from injury. He's always injured in Seattle. Let me take a look here. I could scroll down to Mariners. This would be Mitch Haniger. Mitch Haniger? Has he been out? He says he'll make the All-Star team, but everybody gets a player. Just remember that. Yeah, Mitch Haniger. Okay, thank you, Leonard. I already found it. Thank you, though. Thank you. I think you guys are a little behind me here. Okay. Anyway, Mitch Haniger, Justice Sheffield should be on your radar. Absolutely. Kikuchi, going to be better than that 5 ERA. That's for sure. He strikes out a batter in an inning. So, okay, it's not horrible. Let's talk about position battles in Atlanta. So, for the number 5 spot in Atlanta, which it looks like Ian Anderson, Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Drew Smyly, you have that. And then you have some other dudes that could possibly do the number 5 spot. You have Sean Newcomb, okay? He's 27 years old. He's just a freaking shit show, okay? He is absolutely a shit show that he I don't know. He's only 27. He was just no good. He has a drop in his velocity. His ERA was over 11. It's just 2.5 home runs per 9 innings pitch. He's just horrible. You can't even trust him. Touki Toussaint, he's got 107 strikeouts in 95 innings, so that's good at the major league level. 95 innings total. He has a 5.97 ERA and a 1.60 WHIP in 95 innings. Okay, next we got Kyle Wright. Is Bryce Wilson? Let's talk about. I think it's going to be Kyle Wright. I really do think it's going to be him. He's 30 years old. He is not great either. I think. Is Kyle Wright the guy that didn't strike anybody or didn't walk anybody the whole Arizona Fall League, Lenny, or not? He might be that guy. But he's got a 5.21 ERA, a 1.55 WHIP, 38 innings pitched, 24 walks, 30 strikeouts. He did not do well either this spring. They have a problem if they can't get Soroka back, okay? If they can't get Mike Soroka healthy, and Max Fried is kind of On the men too, I just do not. They have nothing at the end of their. They have nothing. Drew Smiley is already part of it. So Bryce Wilson is just a kid. He's okay. He's going to start the season in the minors anyways. He actually has pitched with the Atlanta Braves up in the major leagues each of the last 3 seasons, but he only has 42 innings total to his career. A 6 ERA, a whip that's almost 2. It's absolutely insane. He's not doing well at all for his transition. So again, Kyle Wright, the 5th starter probably in Atlanta. This is probably useless for fantasy purposes. And he didn't do well in his first outing. Ender Inciarte, though. People, if you think that Christian Pache is going to start and Ender Inciarte is going to sit, then you are just mistaken. This is a mistake to think this. Number one, okay, if anything, they're going to try to trade Inciarte. If anything, like if this Christian Pache is even close to being ready to play the outfield for the Braves this season. He played last year at age 21. He had 4 at-bats in the major leagues. That's it. 4 at-bats. I cannot even imagine when I read stuff that says, oh, he's got the upper hand to get the job. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Plus, he's not any good for fantasy, okay? He's not. He's a defensive guy. That's it. You do not draft this guy. And even if you're in a dynasty league, you should not be having this guy. He's probably going to be at his highest value right now. So you should, him and Nico Horner too, get rid of them. You should not have them on your team. This guy Pache is not good for fantasy, but you know he's a rookie. He's a prospect, so everybody loves him. But at least we know one thing. Unless he signs a long-term contract with the Braves before the season starts, he's not starting in the majors. And the minor leagues, they don't even start until after their spring training starts. When our baseball actually starts opening day, that's when their spring training starts, the minor leagues. So no team is going to have access to a minor leaguer for a couple weeks, at least. Mark that down. Not only that, but they're not sending them up anyway because they don't want to mess around with the time clock. Didn't you hear? I thought that secret came out last week. Okay, don't draft this guy. I don't care if he plays every single day for the whole season. He's not going to give you any fantasy value. I will say the same thing, though, about a couple of other guys, too, that we're seeing that are prospects this year that, like Andrew Vaughn. Okay, he's great for his contact. He's great for getting on base. He's in a good lineup, okay? Even if he starts at the major league level, what is he going to do for your fantasy team? And the other guy, too, on that, I think he might be on the White Sox, too. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we're going to talk about the Atlanta closer since we're talking about Atlanta. The closer situation is Will Smith, who just 2 years ago, 2019, he was excellent in San Francisco. But come on now, dude. We're talking about San Francisco ballpark. Every pitcher is good there. Like, it's the new San Diego Padres park for hitter-friendly. It's not hitter-friendly in San Francisco. In Atlanta, I'm not sure, but it has to be more hitter-friendly than it was over there in Cali. But he had 34 saves that season in 2019, 34 saves. It's a good reason to get excited about it for the next season. But then him and Melanson were both closers last year, and he did not do well at all. 4.50 ERA, his strikeout rate plummet. His career low 30% ground balls. He allowed 7 home runs. He's 31 years old. And so no matter what we think of Will Smith and his past, he's not set in stone as the closer. And you should act accordingly. Okay. Chris Martin, this guy, he's 34 years old. So he's even older than Will Smith. He's got 6 career saves. Okay. But he's had a 2.81 ERA over the past 2 seasons, and he keeps his walk super low. He's already been out there pitching this spring, so I would keep an eye on him because we don't know. They also have AJ Minter and Luke Jackson, who have a few saves apiece. AJ Minter's never been good at keeping a closing job, so he's not probably going to be good now at that. But definitely the closer situation in Atlanta is fluid. Means it moves all the time. It's moving, changing. I don't know. The New York Mets. I don't have anything for them right now. I do have a question for them, but right now we're just doing some position battles that I was able to throw together today for tomorrow's show too. All right, in St. Louis, we have another situation with position battles. We have Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson, Matt Carpenter, Paul DeJong, and Tommy Edman can all bat leadoff. But I do believe, okay, this just adds to Tommy Edman's value too, by the way, because his position eligibility is top notch. Tommy Edman qualifies everywhere, batting leadoff. 2 or 3 out of the 5 games so far, I looked at every game. Edman's been batting leadoff 3 out of 5 times. The other 2 times, it was Matt Carpenter. If you can imagine that. Matt Carpenter has been leading off the 2 times that Edman did not lead off. But I do believe this is Edman's job to lose. He batted first last season in 11 games. He batted second 43 games. And he was fine in both. But actually, he was better in the leadoff spot, batting 270. But, you know, it's a small sample size. Anyway, I like the leadoff. You can't even ever deny that. Plus, the position eligibility alone is great for this guy. He played 8 games at second, 31 games at third base, 13 games at shortstop, 21 games in the outfield. He freaking qualifies everywhere. He's a little gem. Okay, that's that. I think he's going to get to bat leadoff. So then Harrison Bader is another option. He's an interesting guy to keep an eye on, but he is absolutely not good against righties. I don't think Edman's that good against lefties, but I don't think it's that big of a split to like punish him for it. But Harrison Bader's splits are quite noticeable. Matt Carpenter, what's he been good for? But it's interesting that they're batting him leadoff the other 2 days, right? I think so. Dylan Carlson and Paul DeJong. Dylan Carlson and Paul DeJong. Those guys are going to hit probably in the middle of the lineup. So I guess that's a good plus for the Dylan Carlson vote on Lenny's team tonight. He likes him. George, tell him why he shouldn't be drafting Dylan Carlson. Go ahead, George. Let's talk about the Cubbies. Nico Horner is on my list. Do not draft. Do not draft Nico Horner, please. Do not roster him, whatever. The freaking politically correct bullshit. Horner was rushed up in 2019, never even made it to AAA. He was only 15 months after being drafted. Okay, they put him up in the Cubbies. Might have really, I don't know. They brought him up. He had 70 games at AA. He batted 282 in 20 games. That was in 2019. And then last year, it's sophomore slump to the max, or whatever you want to call it. The pitcher started figuring him out. He batted 222. He still has a 78% contact rate, so this is one plus for Nico Horner. But what is he going to do? You're going to get at most, 10 stolen bases from this guy. Okay? 10 stolen bases. That's the max. So this is all hype. In 2020, he stole 3 bases, and he got caught stealing twice. So he attempted 5 steals, and he accomplished 3 out of 5. I say that's not a good. That is not a good ratio there, and they're not going to let him keep running if he gets caught. That's all there is to it. He's got a launch angle that shows he will. I mean, if I say this, I feel like I immediately think of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I do think that some players can increase their launch angle if they work at it and they try to do that. Some players are never going to be a power guy. Vladdy is a power guy, and if he could get his launch angle right, he would just be smacking bombs all the time. Bombs is apparently offensive too, okay? Bombs. We're not supposed to say bombs or guns. Well, it's not that we're not supposed to say it. It's just that the woke crowd thinks that we shouldn't. But I'm going to be very careful about that because I don't let people tell me what to say. And I also think it's a slippery ass slope. You start telling people what they can and can't say, something always is going to be offensive to somebody somewhere. Who in the hell that plays fantasy baseball is going to be offended by bombs or guns? Because it reminds me of Puig. Whenever I say guns, I think of Puig. Poor Puig. He doesn't have a job still. He went back to the Dominican. I think he is playing baseball down there. I hope it's not the end of his career. I feel sad that Puig is gone. So, okay, getting off of that stuff. Let's talk about this Nico Horner cat. Do not draft him. His launch angle is 2%. He will never be a power guy. He's never going to, I don't know what people just love youngsters. Now, on the other hand, okay, he plays second base. All right, Nico Horner, second base. He also plays he can play third base. He can play shortstop. He can play center field, it looks like. And if they need him to, he can. But regardless, I would almost guarantee he's going to go back down to the minors and spend a couple, maybe months in the minors. David Bote, he is not a youngster. He is not a shiny new toy. He played 7 games at second base, 33 games at third base. He can also move all around. He's a utility guy. That's what he is. That's all he's ever going to be, right? In this, probably. I mean, he can play first, second, third, left field, right field, everywhere. His contact rate is much less. It's 68%. He is horrible against left-handed pitching. And he spent 7 years in the minors before he even came up to make his debut in 2018. So David Bote is like he'll get drafted in that draft that they're doing today, that after pick 250 it's 300. You have to draft players after pick 300. Okay, that's what I got for Chicago. In Milwaukee, you have Travis Shaw, but nobody cares about Travis Shaw, and I don't either. So but what are they going to do? They have nobody. They have Luis Urias, Travis Shaw, and Daniel Robertson to play third base. Orlando Arcia, it looks like. It looks like Orlando Arcia is that guy at third base. But you have hurt Luis Urias. The offense badly needs some kind of power, though, okay? They have plenty of speed. They need power. They need guys to hit runners in. We'll see if Travis Shaw can be anything close to what we've seen him be before, and the answer is probably no, so just keep on walking. Arizona pitching. I like Arizona pitching. Let's talk about it for a second. I kind of like Merrill Kelly. I mean, look, he's not young. He's 32. He just had thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. You can look at Matt Harvey if you want to know how this works out for pitchers. It's not been something, we don't have a lot of experience with this type of surgery, and it hasn't really been great chances coming back from the surgery afterwards. It's not like Tommy John, where once you make it back, you're like better than you ever were. Anyway, Merrill Kelly allowed 2 runs, 1 hit, and 1 walk. He struck out 5 over 2 innings, okay, on Monday. His velocity, though, is a good sign because it's actually higher than it was before he had the surgery. So that's absolutely positive. They said that with him, he said that he had been told that the velocity might take a while to come back. So it was really nice to see that his velocity was 92 miles an hour in 2019 and 92.1 in 2020. Now it's 93. It was 93, 94 on Monday. So that's really good. He had a 2.94 ERA and a 107 whip in 12 starts. That was in 2019. So he was having a good season. Okay. Good season. Less than 3 ERA. Anyway, no, this is not Merrill Kelly. We moved on. We're talking about Luke Weaver now. The velocity thing is Merrill Kelly. Definitely. His velocity is 93, 94. That's it for Merrill Kelly. Let's move on to Luke Weaver, who had a 6.58 ERA last year. Steve Phillips, somebody keeps trying to trade Luke Weaver to me. Maybe it's Matt. But I'm not taking Luke Weaver. He's not good. His whip, 1.56 over 12 starts. But, okay, this guy that in 2019 did have a good less than 3 ERA, 2.94. His whip was 107, 12 starts. So that's decent sample size for that, okay? But then he got hurt, and it was all over for then for him. His fly ball rate increased more than 10 percentage points to 48.4%, and his home run per 9 doubled. Okay, it's now 1.74 per 9 innings. So Luke Weaver is a chance, but he's listed as their number 4 starting pitcher. So he's in the rotation. Then you have Corbin Martin. this guy should not really be ruled out completely, okay? He's had injuries. Basically, he's just had a bunch of injuries, but he's got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, a good strikeout rate, okay? He's pitched only 19 innings in the majors. He does allow some home runs, but as you grow and you get better, then you start to be able to hone in on your command. And I think that we should watch him because he's not completely hopeless case yet. We should not give up on him. Taylor Clark, listed as the number 6 starter. It's going to be interesting for him. I think they're stretching him out as a starting pitcher, but I think they're going to throw him in the bullpen. I think they're going to bring him in when somebody needs one of these, one of their many mediocre pitchers, okay, or whatever, injured, whatever problem. Some of these teams this year, we're going to see this. We're going to see 6-7 man rotations, which I don't think is going to really actually be that. I think it's going to be where you have 5 guys getting starts every week. Like every 5th day, they're going to get a start, but they're going to have some extra guys that they can say, this are number 6 or 7, but we're going to throw them in there. Maybe we're going to use them as an opener. Who knows what they're going to do? I do think we're overblowing the innings problem a little bit this year. I do think that, trying to figure out how you're going to get 950 innings or 900 innings, I don't think that it's going to be as hard as I don't know. We don't know. That's the thing. This guy, okay, Taylor Clark, if this league that you're in takes hold and gives you credit for holds, he would be a very intriguing late pick because he's the first pitcher this spring to throw 3 innings, okay, for Arizona. He made his second appearance yesterday. He allowed 1 run, he gave 3 hits and walked 1, but he struck out 4, okay, over 3 innings in Friday's game against Cincinnati. So he pitched 3 innings on Friday, and he struck out 4 in 3 innings. So he's, I don't know what they're doing with him. The appearances that he's made in the spring, they're both as a reliever, but they do say straight up that they're stretching him out as a potential starter. So his flexibility could be useful depending on what kind of league you're in. And Alex Young is the other guy here, number 5 starter, listed as the number 5. 5.44 ERA as a swingman last season. He struck out 19% of batters, which is not impressive. And he's had 129 innings at the major league level, and he's just whatever. But okay, let's talk about the Arizona. Mostly I wanted to talk about the Arizona closing situation because while all of you people have totally written off Kevin Ginkel and don't like him anymore and threw him out with the bathwater and the baby, Soria is not the guy. Soria is not reliable as a closer anymore. He used to be reliable as a closer. He has 223 saves in his career, okay? But only one time in the last 5 years has he earned more than 2 saves in any of those seasons. Only one time. He hasn't had saves in a while. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? So 2.82 ERA last year. That is absolute nonsense. That is not going to happen again. This guy did not reinvent his entire arm. This is not... Look at his stats. You could say Joaquin Soria is not reliable whatsoever. And then you say, okay, well, they have Stephon Creighton, who is probably, I believe that he will probably see more saves in the long run than Soria this year. I do. I think he's got better stuff as a closer. But I think that out of all of them, I'm still rooting for Kevin Ginkel. I was reading just today that Kevin Ginkel, he's mentioned, but he's not even mentioned as a serious closer at all, but I don't see why he wouldn't be in the mix too. Believe me, he's in the mix. And if you happen to be in very deep league, and I'm definitely going to grab him in this NFBC around 42, I'm going to take Kevin Ginkel. I don't know. It's just so easy because when he got an opportunity last season, okay, but it's the middle of coronavirus. There's a lot of different things that could have been the reason why he didn't pitch well last year. Okay. But Ginkel has the stuff to be a closer. I will tell you why. Last year, he got a chance to get the closer job. He was given that opportunity after just 24 innings in the major league level. He was given this opportunity, and he did not do well. he had a 6.75 ERA. I mean, his numbers don't say that he did good. Okay. And he's not like 20. He's 26. He's not kid, but there's things about him that you got to really like. He's got a 96 mile an hour fastball. His freaking walks last year were just ungodly. Okay. He only pitched 12 innings. No, he only pitched 16 innings. So, yes, his ratios look absolutely horrible. But in 6 innings, guess how many he walked in 16 innings? 13. He walked 13 in 16 innings. Let me check out how he finished it. Anyway, whatever it is, he's no worse than Soria or Creighton, and they're all three question marks. I could tell you what he did in 2019 was pretty amazing because he went all the way from high A, double A, triple A, and the major leagues in 2019. The whole way along the way, he was just striking out batters like absolute unbelievable crazy. His ERA was like in 2019, it was 2.16. That was at double A. It was 0 at single A. It was 1.62 at triple A. And in the majors, it was 1.48. That's his ERA. All the times, very good ERAs. All of a sudden, in the majors, it's 6.75. I'm going to give him a chance. He's just, I'm going to let him have a second. But I think that looking at his minor league numbers, this guy just worked his way right up through the system, and he was crushing it the whole way. And he was striking out batters the whole way. Okay, and his walks, he's never been great with his walks. Not even in the minors, he hasn't been great with his walks. Still better than what we saw out of him. And still, no way in holy moly is Joakim Soria going to finish the season as a closer. He's 37 years old. No, he's not. Maybe he does. I don't know, but I'm not drafting him. I could tell you that. He still has a 92 mile an hour fastball. Not really going down that much, his fastball velocity. But this is we're talking about Soria's closer. You need to have a better ERA than 3 something. You need to have a better ERA than 4.30, 3.70. Those types of ERAs are not good at all for a closer. He's just not going to make it. Okay, Arizona's not that great for pitchers anyway, but you got to love Gallen, Zach Gallen. I'm a big fan. Okay. But Creighton, they have Stephon Creighton. 5 saves last year. He finished the season actually as the closer, so they signed Soria in the offseason, but they never said that Soria is going to be their closer in Arizona. They never said that. They've refused to name a closer there, actually. So I think we just assume that Soria is going to be the closer because they signed him this offseason and brought him aboard. That's not really a great reason to think he's going to be the closer. Creighton did save 5 games last year at the end of the season. He had a 2.42 ERA. His FIP was higher, so whatever, and his xFIP was even higher than that. Creighton, I think he might have probably not going to be that good, but still, he closed out the season as a closer, so why wouldn't he get an opportunity heading into the season? It makes sense to me. The Red Sox, a mess. The Red Sox, they have lots of lefties in the Red Sox. They have Marwin Gonzalez, switch hitter. He plays everywhere. Another just guy with eligibility galore, okay? Plus, he's great defensively, so he will get in the lineup. So he's not the best fantasy option, but if you need somebody that's going to play, he will probably get – he's going to get more at-bats, okay, without a starting job than Kiki Hernandez, Franchy Cordero, Hunter Renfroe, whoever the other rest of the – scraps are that the Red Sox decided to go sweep up this offseason. For real. Franchy Cordero is somebody that I've really wanted to like so much. And I'm not going to say that it's impossible for him to do anything, but definitely the chances are not good that he does anything. He's got a 35% strikeout rate, so if he doesn't fix that first and foremost, then he doesn't matter if he's injured all the time because he just can't get on base. He can't do his thing with a 35% strikeout rate. 95 games that he's played in the majors since 2000 and who knows, a long time ago. He's got 12 home runs and 8 stolen bases in 95 games. that's not even impressive enough to put this guy on your team, because the risks do not, the rewards do not, I should say, the possible rewards from this guy do not outweigh the risks involved in putting him on your team. So they got Kiki Hernandez, who they play second base and left field. The last 2 seasons, he's at 235. He can also play some shortstop, but Marwin Gonzalez plays everywhere. First, second, third, right, left, and I don't know if he plays shortstop, but he plays all over the rest of the place. Okay, and then Michael Chavez, he can also play first, second, third, left field. He hits 241 in 137 games. He's not fantasy relevant, but they're also needing an SP5, which, for real, this is their starting rotation, okay? This is what they're going into the season with. I remember a couple years ago when they won the World Series, and then they decided to go into the next season without a closer. And I was like, why are you not getting it? Why are you not investing in a closer? You're going to enter the season without a closer, and you just won the World Series, and you could possibly compete again, but you decided to be greedy and let Craig Kimbrell go and not invest in a closer. And then the reason for this is that they didn't have any money. They say, we don't want to hit the luxury tax, so we're not going to have a closer. That's just a bunch of bullshit. Bull dinky, people, and poppycock. But it's interesting because the Red Sox, let's skip over to their closers for a second, because the Yankees pawned off Ottavino onto the Red Sox this offseason. It's just, why do you want now? Okay, you have Barnes, who is the papa, and then you have Ottavino. It's the same guy. It's the same pitcher, really. I think Ottavino might be even older than Barnes, but maybe not, maybe a couple years younger. They're both in their 30s. They are both with lots of strikeouts, and they both they strike out a ton of guys, but they walk way too many guys. So their ERA is never going to be good. Their whip is never going to be good, but they're going to strike out batters all the time. Okay? That's what they do. Then you have Darwin Hernandez, which is like the junior of the group, because he's the same exact guy, except for even more of an extreme, because he's only 24 years old and he has no experience yet. He's the same guy, just a ton of strikeouts and a ton of walks. That's what you get with all 3 of these guys in Boston. Ottavino's not going to get saves. I just don't see it. I do not see Ottavino getting saves. He could. He has some saves in his career. But the Yankees, why would the Red Sox take it's beyond me, okay? Their pitching staff, their starting rotation is Eovaldi, Eduardo Rodriguez is the name, the number 1 pitcher, took off last year, COVID, had really bad side effects from COVID, heart problems and stuff. It was no bueno. But if he could come back, he did prove in 2019 that he was a decent starting pitcher, absolutely decent, like 200 innings or 180 something innings, right? So now we know he can do it, but it took him a couple years to do that because he was always hurt. Okay, now it's Eovaldi, hurt all the time. Garrett Richards, hurt all the time. Martin Perez is probably their best starting pitcher. Not their best. Eduardo Rodriguez would be their best starting pitcher, but Perez, he's not as bad as one would think, and compared to the rest of this rotation, he's actually pretty darn good. So, but here's one to look out for in Boston. Tanner Hauck. Definitely worth watching this guy. He had 3 starts last year. He made his major league debut last year. Of course, another guy that has problems with his command, but at least he has an excuse, which is the fact that he's young, okay? He walks a few batters, but he does strike out batters, and he's very interesting. I think the Red Sox really like this kid, and he strikes out a ton of batters too. So that's pretty much the theme over in Boston. Lots of strikeouts, too many walks, and a bunch of injury problems. I like Verdugo. That's another guy. I like Verdugo. I wonder if I'll be able to get him on any team this year. I just missed out on him in this NFBC league. I like him. I think he's 30 home runs. He bats great. He makes good contact. He has a 280 or 290 batting average. He's going to be very good if he could be healthy. So, the theme is injuries abound in Boston. Okay, the Baltimore Orioles, there's a ton of job battles going on in Baltimore. I'm going to spare you most of them because most of them don't count for fantasy purposes. The closer situation does count, though, right? Because you have Hunter Harvey. He's had 33 innings pitched, okay? In 33 innings pitched on average each season for the last 8 seasons, this guy. He's got 151 innings pitched in the majors over the past however many years, but over 8 years, he averages 30 innings a year. Okay. 3 ERA, 4.93 FIP, which says Hunter Harvey may be looking better than he is. And they have Cesar Valdez, who is another guy that is going to be a versatility guy going maybe into the rotation and maybe into the bullpen. He had one. I think he's older. I do think he's older. This Cesar Valdez, he's in his mid-30s. Okay, let's talk about like 35-ish. He 1.26 ERA with 3 saves last year, so he's capable of closing out games. He's pitched 1 inning this spring, and he struck out all 3 batters, one after the other. Bam, bam, bam. Sat them all down. The only thing holding this guy back, in my opinion, is his age. But if he's going to be the best closer, then the Baltimore Orioles are going to use him as their closer. That's all there is to it. Tanner Scott is another guy. He had a 1.31 ERA in 2020. He strikes out a lot of batters. He has a very high ground ball rate. He induces a lot of ground balls, 49% ground ball. Another guy that just, he's got problems with walks. So is he really the guy that you want in closing out games? I don't know, but he's an option in Baltimore. Believe me, there's 4 guys here. 3 of them are potential closers, and possibly all 3 will get some saves in Baltimore. Sean Armstrong he's had an ERA under 2 in 2 of the last 3 seasons, but he only pitched 15 innings in each of those 2. Okay, where his ERA was so good. So the sample size is not even worthy of even mentioning the fact that he's had an ERA under 2 for 2 out of the last 3 seasons. He had a 5.74 ERA in 2020, last year, I think. Or I don't know, 2019 or 2020. 5.74 ERA. He's pitched 1 inning this spring, 1 strikeout, and 1 home run allowed. So 2 earned runs. Not a great start to the spring. That's the closer battle in Baltimore. In Cleveland, you have Andres Gimenez and Ahmed Rosario. They both want to play shortstop, but both of them are qualified to play second base too, where they have Cesar Hernandez. So I don't know if they're going to even bother. I don't know. It seems to me that Andres Gimenez is going to go down to the minor leagues maybe. And maybe he doesn't need to because he's already been up here and his clock has started. I think it has started. But he's better. He's been better than Ahmed Rosario, but I mean, Ahmed Rosario can play second base and shortstop. Gimenez can play second base, third base, and shortstop. But I have to say, like, his numbers were better than Ahmed Rosario. Lenny likes Rosario. I'm just glad that Rosario is in the American League now because Lenny can't draft him on his team. That's why. Cleveland is a mess. They have Mercado. They have Daniel Johnson. They have Franmil Reyes. They have Bradley Zimmer. They have Harold Ramirez. Another team with a bunch of scraps, okay? Although Franmil can hit for a ton of power, but I don't think he's good defensively. So I think that's a problem. Not that bad of a problem because Cleveland is American League and they do have a DH there, okay? So he doesn't have to play in the outfield. But there's going to be a battle for time here, for playing time in the outfield, center field and right field, to be clear. It's Eddie Rosario in left field, and then you have center field and right field, lots of different possibilities there. Their starting pitching situation, they have great starting pitching, and I have to say, Cleveland, go. Aaron Cevalle, I noticed him in the spring training stats, okay, Aaron Cevalle. Whoopee, he came out. He just did good. I'm going to pull up the spring training stats right now. At RotoWire, they have everything, okay? Everything. We love it. Every year they get new stuff at RotoWire. What am I doing? I'm going to look at pitching for spring training. I'm going to tell you what Aaron Cevalle did so far. He's looking great. I liked him last year as a sleeper. One of the best things about Cleveland is that they let their starters go deep into games, okay? And this is not going to change. I do believe that their pitchers will get full innings. Now, you look at Cevalle. They also have Cal Quantrill, which they got from San Diego. He's in the running for a rotation spot in Cleveland. Where's Cevalle? There he is. Damn, there's a lot of freaking Cleveland pitchers. Okay, Aaron Cevalle, 3 innings pitched, 3 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, no walks, a win, no hits. Anyway, he pitched 3 innings perfectly. No hits, no runs, no walks. Is that a perfect? That's a perfect game. 3 inning perfect game, Aaron Cevalle. And I'm going to pull his numbers up. I don't mean to sidetrack here, but Cevalle should be watched. He should be looked at, and he's worth talking about for a second. Because last season, he made 12 starts. He pitched at least 6 innings, okay? In every single one of them, except for one start. On September 26th, he went 4 innings. Every other start, he went 6 or more innings. One was a complete game. One was 7 innings, and all the rest are 6 innings. This guy makes it through 6 innings. This is a gold mine if he can keep his ERA in check. Last year it was 4.74. That's good for you because it's helping you get him at a deeper discount. He is, if innings matters, I mean, and they do matter this year, the number of innings that you're going to see a pitcher throw. Last year, this guy did not miss a beat, okay? And yes, he's going to start more games. He's going to start like twice as many games at least. But the fact that he goes this deep into games, it tells me that that's just a great sign. And Cleveland is notorious for it. I think like 3 or 4 of their starting pitchers last year went deep into games, 6 innings apiece. And so if you have pitchers that can do that and you encourage that in your organization, that's good. Plus, this guy, Aaron Cevalle, does not throw a fastball that's going to whip his arm out of whack and make him have to go have Tommy John. His fastball is 91.8 miles an hour. It's not crazy velocity where he needs to throw his arm out. He'll strike out a decent amount of batters. I love it. I'm going to definitely put him. He's going on at least one of my teams. And here I am like gushing over spring training, the fact that he did this in spring training, okay? So last year, heading into last year, the reason that he was a sleeper was because the year that he had before, which was a small sample size of 57 innings in the majors, he pitched at 3 different levels. He crushed it at 3 different levels, just like my boy, was it Ginkel? Anyway, this Aaron Cevalle, 2 ERA, 2.34, 2.13, 2.67. That's all 3 levels in the 2019 season. It was exciting going into last season. You say, this guy's been great at all the levels in one season, but all the levels nonetheless. Okay, he's going to be 26. Aaron Cevalle is worth drafting. I haven't been paying attention, so maybe he's actually, I don't know where he's going even. Happy Hour Social Club on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights too. Wednesday night at 7 p.m., the Happy Hour Social Club is fun times. It's ladies' night for sure. And that's at 7. And then on Thursday is at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow night is George, the Roto Imbecile at 6:30. Okay. And tomorrow is Lady and the Legend at 7 a.m. in the freaking middle of the night for the West Coast people. But you can listen on demand too if you have Sirius Radio. And tonight I'm going to be hosting Lenny's Draft, NL only. George, you should tune in for that one. You'll really find that one fun because you love NL only leagues. What are you going to talk about tomorrow? George, Matt Hooper is here. Hi, Mal Pal. Whoopee. I thought we were going to be missing you today because I know you have other things going on. Brooks, nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. It's awesome. I haven't checked the chat room in a while. Unholy Toledo's here. That's the best one. Okay. Thanks for coming, Brooks. It says, George says he'd also roster Gerard Dyson. Okay, George, how about this one? What about D. Strange Gordon? Because Cincinnati has nobody to play second base or shortstop. One of the two positions. I'm not joking. And it sounds like a joke. I know it sounds like a joke. D. Strange Gordon sounds like a joke. But remember when he used to steal bases a lot? And remember when he used to have a batting average that wasn't the worst batting average? Actually, it was not that bad. Gerard Dyson's okay too. This guy is like timeless, okay, entity. I know he signed with some team. Paul Quantrill, is that Cal's dad? I don't know. Is that Cal's dad? So what do you think about Cal getting into the Cleveland rotation? At 6:30 Sunday evening, if George is still alive, which he had a second vaccination shot, so if he's still living now, the chances are good that he'll be alive on tomorrow. He will be going over the Danny Santana and Jackie Bradley signings, whatever happened to Jacoby Ellsbury and Jonas Cespedes, okay, for that matter. Justin Bohr did sign, okay, he returned stateside, and a couple people went to play across the pond. And can we name anyone on the Pirates? I mean, besides Brian Hayes, right? We all know him for sure. Gregory Polanco, is he there too, or no? Who else can I name? Mitch Keller. I can name Tyler Mahle. No, he's Cincinnati. Richard Rodriguez. Is he the closer there? I don't even know. That's the truth. In Pittsburgh, there's Jacob Stallings is their catcher. First base, I can't even think of. All I could think of is Josh Bell at first base, but he's gone. I know. We don't know anybody on the Pirates because they stink. They can't score runs ever. Okay. Anyway. All right. So, yes, Cal's dad is Paul Quantrill. Cal is better suited for the bullpen. He could be. That's what he's been doing so far. Is Todd Frazier is on the Pirates. Okay, so that's good. And Chad Cole is there. And Brian Reynolds. I forgot about Brian Reynolds. He's not bad, actually. He could be okay. Not bad at all. Is it Lenny? Malpal's here. So nice to see you, dude. Okay, go back to the notes. Tristan McKenzie. What about Mackenzie Gore? He could be coming up, but, you know, he's not one to roster early in the season, I don't think, because they are very deep in pitching over there. So I don't really love Joe Musgrove, which he is getting crazy drafted right now. I would have to say that I'm very surprised at how much everybody has fallen over Joe Musgrove. And Kevin Gausman, you talked to me last time this year, people would be laughing at me for even thinking that Kevin Gausman was going to be worthy of rostering on fantasy. Now, all of a sudden, Kevin Gausman is getting drafted. Let me see. He was drafted in this NFBC league earlier. I'll tell you the players that went after him. Why? He was going before Josh Donaldson, Max Kepler. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. But Jose Urquidy, Ryan Presley, Otani, Urias, Pablo Lopez. These are just the pitchers, but there's all kinds of hitters involved here too. I mean, these are just the pitchers. He's going before these guys. I don't know why. All of a sudden, Kevin Gausman is going before Dallas Keuchel. I know, like, Keuchel did win Cy Young, didn't he? I know he doesn't strike out a lot of batters. I know that's not really what you're drafting Keuchel for. But in a season that you're saying to yourself, like, I need innings and, you know, I mean, both of these guys, Kevin Gausman is not on a great team. Joe Musgrove is on a great team. He's on a great rotation. He's not even the number one guy or the number two guy or even the number three guy probably. So he is not going to have to face the toughest pitchers in the National League. But how is he so? And pitchers that leave didn't he pitch? Did he pitch in Pittsburgh? I want to say he did, but wherever he came from, okay? Musgrove. What the hell happened? Why? He had one good season and now everybody is in love with this guy. Okay, and it wasn't even that good. How good was it? He's had, I mean, it looks like Trevor Bauer's number, to be honest with you. It looks like Trevor Bauer's because he's got 4 ERA, 4.44, 4.77. Like his ERA is always over 4, except for last year where it was almost 4. 3.86. That is not splendid. That is not excellent stuff to me. What did he do? Why does everybody love this guy so much? You could keep him, okay? Keep him. I would rather not take him. So his FIP was his FIP was 341. His fastball is 92.5 miles per hour. Nothing spectacular. Okay, he gives up home runs, over a home run per 9 innings. He didn't walk a lot till last year. Then he walked over 3.6 batters per 9 innings. That's a lot. He struck out a lot, but that's the first time ever that he struck out that much. What did he do? 18 pitches it took him to get through 6 batters. It's pretty impressive. That was 2 perfect innings and struck out 1 batter yesterday. 2 perfect innings with 1 strikeout. Okay, fine. It took him 18 pitches to get through 6 batters. It says this right here. The right-hander is slotted to fill a back-end spot in the Padres rotation that on paper looks to be among the best in the league heading into the season. That is true. That is true. But he's not the reason, okay? He's not the reason. I don't know why he's so popular. For 4 consecutive years, his FIP beat his ERA, okay? But that's not a compliment. It's just not a compliment when your FIP is better than your ERA every year. So, I mean, his underlying numbers look like they belong to an entirely different pitcher than who he was in his first 4 seasons. His strikeout percentage sat in a very narrow band between 20% and 21.9%. That's fine. Now it shot up to 33%. So why is that believable then? Why? Why do we believe that for him? All of a sudden, we're just going to believe that he's maintained a 20 to 22% strikeout percentage for his whole career. Now all of a sudden it's 33% and we believe it. I don't get it. Okay, he's got control problems. He had a 9.6% walk rate. Walking. That was well above his previous career high, so he used to be pretty good at walks, keeping them down. Anyway, whatever it is, 48% ground ball rate, that's fine, but that's normal for him. I just don't see where. Look, you leave Pittsburgh, you're automatically a better pitcher. That's just given. You're going to be a better pitcher. You leave Pittsburgh. But, okay, he's going too high. That's my whole point. I spent like 15 minutes telling you why Joe Musgrove is going too high in drafts. And that's true, though. That's true. That's why I spent so much time telling you. Okay. Anthony Alford is one that we're looking at right now for a job in the rotation. I don't see why he wouldn't get it. I think he's been doing well. I think he's been pitching well. COVID patients, right? We've had a couple COVID patients that didn't even know that they had COVID until they tested. They have to test when they enter spring training. They have to go through the protocol, and some of them came back positive. They didn't even know that they had it. Jose Abreu being one of them. So there are a couple also COVID patients from last year that we're trying to keep an eye on, like Yohan Moncada, and some other COVID patients that just were affected. Or they say that, I mean, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for sure. And Trey Mancini, $3 in labor. I got for $3. And he's not having a good spring, by the way. Trey Mancini is not doing well so far. I will pay $3 every day of the week for him just to root for him. Just to root for him. Because, it's a good feeling that you get when you see somebody beating cancer like that. Carlos Carrasco is the same thing. I love that story. He was excellent coming back from leukemia. John Lester and our boy This is Jameson Taillon out of Pittsburgh in the Yankeeville. Testicle cancer, 2 Tommy Johns, and whatever else doesn't even compare to that. So I hope he does well. I really am rooting for Taillon. If he wasn't so expensive, like, he's not worth paying for too much money. You should pay for Taijuan Walker way over Jameson Taillon. Their names kind of sound similar, but this is a real comparison here, because I think that Jameson Taillon is going in drafts at way too high of a rate for what he has done in the past, because he has not been able to pull it off. Even though we all know he has the talent to pull it off, he has not been able to do it. That's it. Trevor Bauer, I haven't seen. I wonder if he's pitched. I haven't even seen. Let's look at the spring training, see what he's doing. Pitching. Trevor Bauer. 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit, 1 win. Okay, that's good. ERA would be 0. I love it. What else is going on over there? Walker Buehler, 2 innings, 1 strikeout. He did allow a run. Who else do we want to look at? So one of the guys that I mentioned earlier, if we're talking about, we're in a saves and hold league. I just traded in the saves and hold league. Okay. I traded Steve Phillips. It's so fun to do trades, when you can get one to work out, right? It's so fun. I traded him Karinchak and Jose Garcia for Mike Moustakas at second base. And I love it. I love the trade, because we are counting saves and holds. I have the most saves and holds of anybody in this league by far, and they're a freaking dime a dozen, okay? In the last round of this draft that we just did, we have 50 rounds in this draft. Okay, 50 rounds, and there's 15 teams in this league, 50 rounds, 50 players on each team, and I'm just picking up holds guys still. There's just a freaking absurd amount of holds guys available. So if I trade Karinchak, because he's going to be so much more valuable, even though he's not valuable, more valuable. He's a closer. He strikes out a lot of batters. He has very little experience. Who knows if he'll be able to do for a second year what he did in the first year, because closers are notorious for this. Okay? Notorious for having a great season and all this, and then the next season they come back, especially with his experience level. I am getting rid of him, because I will tell you that I can replace him in my pitching with some middle reliever that's going to get holds, because a hold and a save are the same thing. It makes no sense to me that you could fool. And Steve Phillips has a great team, by the way, even though he's made some of the craziest trades I've ever seen. I'm like, I can't believe some of the trades he's made. And he's ended up with a great team. So maybe he knows a little more than I do about the art of the trade. But his team is excellent. But Sergio Romo, I have Tyler Rogers, I have Karinchak, I have Will Smith, Stephon Creighton, I have Michael Givens. He's still even playing, okay, pitching. Darwin Hernandez, Michael Lorenzen. I like Michael Lorenzen. Lenny, you should think about getting him. Michael Lorenzen. We're going to close it up after this. It's been 2 hours. I've been talking. No, 1 hour and a half. So yes, it's time to go. But let me just touch on Lorenzen real quick. I think he's fascinating pitcher. He throws the ball really hard. He's also, he's a two-way player. They're stretching him out for the rotation though right now. And I absolutely think that he could be a very much of a sleeper pitcher. Cincinnati, I believe. Let me look at him. One reason I like him too is because Bauer had him on his show, on his Momentum show or whatever he does. He has players on, talks to them. Had Lorenzen on his show, You should watch that one on YouTube. You should watch it. It's interesting. It will make you like this guy. Spin rate is through the roof. This guy has like one of the top spin rates in baseball. Very good at getting hitters to make really bad contact, which is something that Bauer has been very interested in his whole time. That if he's going to allow hits, he wants to make it so that the bat, when it hits the ball, is going to make bad contact. It is not going to be like a barrel, right? Very good at key. I mean, with a super high spin rate, it's going to, that really helps out with the bad contact. But the spin rate isn't the only thing that you need, obviously, but his fastball is 96.7 miles an hour. He's never given up very many home runs. He doesn't have a lot of innings, but look, in 2018, he pitched 81 innings in the majors. In 2019, he pitched 83 innings in the majors. And then last year, he appeared in 18 games. He pitched 33 innings. He struck out 9.5 batters per 9, so that's good. Doesn't give up home runs. I don't know where they're going to put him. He wants to be in the rotation, I think, but he's obviously not stretched out for the rotation. But their depth chart shows him as the number 5 starter in Cincinnati. They also have a couple other ones that they could put in. But this guy, I think he's going to be another one of those pitchers that is going to be just kind of like stretched out enough to pitch multiple innings. This guy is an effector if I've ever seen one, though, with his way of just coming in, getting it done, like throwing fire right past the batter, making bad contact. It's something to watch. Bauer loves it, really likes this guy's pitching, so I think he's really under the radar, and that's the tidbit. That's the secret of the day. Thanks for staying till the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you again. We're very busy this weekend, lots of drafting and stuff. It's very fun. So sayonara, everybody. Have a great day.